There is a long list of hunks that some of us couldn't take our eyes off of in the 90s. Some eventually dropped out of the public eye for one reason or another. Some of them reached their pinnacle in that decade, and some just completely lost their momentum. Take a look at this list of heartthrobs to see if one of them may have been your 90s crush. Christopher Williams. Christopher Williams emerged during the 90s with his killer looks and serenading voice topping the charts with his R&B hit single, I'm Dreamin'. He also appeared in the 1991 film New Jack City in the role of Kareem Akbar, one of Nino Brown's assistants. His single was also on the movie soundtrack. Leonardo DiCaprio. In the early 90s, Leonardo DiCaprio starred in his first major film as Tobias Wolff in This Boy's Life. He then became extremely popular with his performance in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. He then achieved international stardom with the tear-jerking romances Romeo and Juliet and Titanic. Johnny Gill. After members of the group New Edition decided to do solo projects, Johnny Gill then took it upon himself to romance a lot of us with his seductive hits My, and Quiet Time to Play. Freddie Prinze Jr. Frederick James Prinze Jr. appeared on our radars when he starred in the films I Know What You Did Last Summer in 1997 and its sequel I Still Know What You Did Last Summer in 1998, and we weren't disappointed at all. D'Angelo. It wasn't just D'Angelo's sensual voice that seized the ladies' attention. It was also those sexy abs, beautiful pectoral muscles, and those smooth, luscious lips. R. Kelly. R. Kelly stepped on the scene in 1992 with public announcement for their collaboration album Born into the 90s. The group is known for a collection of R&B hit songs such as She's Got That Vibe, Honey Love, Slow Dance, and Dedicated. In 1993, R. Kelly parted ways with public announcement to begin a solo career, releasing 3 albums that decade, making him the most successful R&B male artist of the 90s. Gary Dourdan. Gary Dourdan had a pretty incredible decade. He immediately became eye candy in the early 90s with his mesmerizing baby blue eyes when Debbie Allen cast him as Shazza Zulu on the television comedy sitcom A Different World. Later, he began acting in music videos, including playing Janet Jackson's love interest in the video for her 1993 hit Again. And the list goes on and on. John Stamos. John Stamos became the sexiest uncle any niece or nephew could ever ask for when he played Uncle Jesse on the television comedy sitcom Full House. Taye Diggs. Taye Diggs made his debut in 1998 in the romance film How Stella Got Her Groove Back, with perfect dark-hued skin and a smile that would light up any room. The following year, he scored other box office hits when he starred in The Wood and in Best Man, where he played the role of Harper Stewart, a writer who attempts to hide the novel that he has written based on the lives of his close friends. Ryan Phillippe. Ryan Phillippe instantly rose to fame in the late 90s, stealing a lot of hearts with starring roles in the films I Know What You Did Last Summer, Cruel Intentions, and 54. Thomas Michael Ford. Not only did Tommy display his good looks in the sitcom Martin from 1992 to 1997, he also showed his grown and sexy side as Lieutenant Malcolm Barker in the television crime series New York Undercover. Allen Iverson. Philadelphia's own Allen Iverson, who was nicknamed The Answer, became quite the ladies' man after he was chosen as the Philadelphia 76ers' first-round draft pick in 1996. Throughout the 90s, he popularized arm sleeves, braids, headbands, and tattoos. TYRESE. We first fell in love with TYRESE when he sang on the back of that city transit bus in that famous Coca-Cola commercial where he looked just as milk chocolatey as ever. Montell Jordan. In 1995, Montell Jordan became celebrated with his first release, This Is How We Do It, from the album that shares the same title. He stood 6 feet 8 inches tall with a slender physique and a handsome face. David Beckham. David Beckham's professional career began with Manchester United, where he made his first team debut in 1992. With United, he won the Premier League title 6 times, the FA Cup twice, and the UEFA Champions League in 1999. His perfect cheekbones, well-proportioned head, and handsome looks accentuated his masculine, flawlessly groomed face. Mace. Mace began stealing hearts with the release of his first studio album, Harlem World, in 1998. His caramel-complected skin and gorgeous smile that dimpled his face swiftly allured lots of attention. Jon B. Jon B's popularity began in the mid-90s with the release of his debut album, Bonafide, that featured the smash hit They Don't Know. He was ridiculously good-looking. Ricky Martin. As one of the biggest Latin artists of all time, Ricky Martin initially gained fame in his teens as the lead singer of the popular boy band Menudo. But the release of his first solo album that included the single Livin' La Vida Loca is when he was first deemed a 90s dreamboat. Joey Lawrence. Joey Lawrence was first seen in the hit TV sitcom Gimme a Break as the adorable little Joey Donovan in the 80s when he was just 5 years old. But in the late 90s, in his 20s, he starred in the sitcom Brotherly Love, all grown up, and some of us couldn't believe our eyes. Keith Sweat. Although Keith Sweat was labeled early on as a whiner and a beggar on hits like Make It Last Forever and I'll Give All My Love to You, his famous moans kept some of us coming back for more and more and more. Michael DeLorenzo. You might know Michael DeLorenzo from the 80s movie Fame and the television series of the same name, or you might recognize him from the Michael Jackson video Beat It, but he became a 90s heartthrob when he played Alex Torres in the last 2 seasons of the television sitcom Head of the Class, and then as Detective Eddie Torres in the urban police drama TV series New York Undercover. James Van Der Beek. James Van Der Beek is widely known for his role as Dawson Leary in the WB series Dawson's Creek and as quarterback Johnny Mox Moxon in the film Varsity Blues, both debuted in the late 90s. Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg first reeled us all in as the lead singer of the 90s music group Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. He then became a desirable Calvin Klein model before transitioning into acting. Jason Priestley. Jason Priestley became an instant sweetheart when he played the handsome Brandon Walsh on the television series Beverly Hills 90210 from 1990 to 1998, where he attracted crushes all around the world. Mario Lopez. In the early 90s, Mario Lopez was cast as A.C. Slater in the television series sitcom Saved by the Bell. His charisma and good looks made watching the show a must-do on some of our Saturday morning agendas. GINUWINE. GINUWINE came into the music business with a bang in his 90s album entitled GINUWINE The Bachelor that featured his big hit, Pony. His striking good looks were accented by his curly hair, smooth skin, handsome face, and sexy music. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp rose to fame as a teen idol on the television series 21 Jump Street in the late 80s. But in the 90s, he became an instant heartthrob, often playing eccentric characters in films such as What's Eating Gilbert Grape and Donnie Brasco. USHER. USHER began turning heads with the release of his second studio album entitled My Way, which featured the hit song You Make Me Wanna. Everything about him was the definition of sex appeal. Maxwell. What was not to obsess about Maxwell back in the 90s? His afro, his smooth skin, and his lyrics that were provocative enough to make us melt like butter when we heard them were all perfect. You could listen to his entire Maxwell's Urban Hang Suite without skipping a single track. That's it for our 90s heartthrob picks, but before you go, take a look at these special mentions that were a group of heartthrobs. Is there anyone from that decade that you would add to this list? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.